views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Is the Bronx in the house this morning? I don't think so. I don't think this is working. Testing. Is the Bronx in the house this morning? Let's give a big Bronx welcome to Governor Rosselló. Welcome to New York. I want to thank Congressman Serrano, who's been a steadfast supporter. He is a pioneer. He's always been there for Puerto Rico and for New York, and he's going to lead the fight for us today. Congressman Serrano, let's give him a big round of applause. I want to thank Borough President Diaz for organizing today. Let's give the Borough President a big round of applause. I want to thank Marcos Crespo for being on that first plane, for organizing the effort in Albany. Let's give Marcos Crespo a big round of applause. It is fitting that we are in Casita Maria today, 80 years serving the Puerto Rican community. And that's what today is all about. It's about standing up, unifying, and standing up and advocating for the Puerto Rican community, for what is right and fair. That's what we want for Puerto Rico. Governor, I want you to know that you have in this room all the elected officials. You have our brothers and sisters in organized labor who are here. You have some of the leading foundations who are there for Puerto Rico. And this rally is being replicated as we speak all across the state of New York today. It's not just, we have a rally going on, and they can watch us, Governor, by the modern day technology. We have a rally in Buffalo where we have Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. We have a Rochester rally where we have Secretary of State Rossana Rosado. We have a rally right now in Syracuse, New York, where we have Ruth Colon. We have a rally going on in Albany right now with Guillermo Linares. And we have a rally at Cornell University where all the students are together in unity with Puerto Rico. Governor, I hope you know, as the congressman said, that your pain is our pain. The Puerto Rican community in New York shed tears right along with the people in Puerto Rico. And it wasn't just the Puerto Rican community in New York, because when you are a New Yorker, the association, the relationship with the Puerto Rican community can't be any closer. And all New Yorkers felt the pain and the anguish that you were going through. And I want you to know that the pain on the island and the destruction on the island, which is worse than you see on the pictures, worse than you see on the pictures, it is indescribable, that pain resonated all through New York. I hope, Governor, that you and the people on the island felt the love that came out of New Yorkers. The spontaneous outpouring of support was like nothing I've ever seen. I wish I could say to you, Governor, that we organized the contributions that came from New York. We didn't. It was spontaneous. It was the emotion that New Yorkers felt. And it was all across the state. Hundreds, literally hundreds of containers filled with contributions going down to the island. 600 state personnel who stepped forward to go down to volunteer. 500 utility workers were in Puerto Rico. We had over 150 medical personnel going down. Nurses went down, 1199 went down, Greater New York Hospital Association went down. It was right across the board. We had foundations like UNICEF and the Beltran Foundation and the Colibri Foundation. Everyone on every level did what they could. People, Governor, who didn't have much would come forward with 2 or 3 cans of food and say, please send these down. It's all I can do. I wish I could do more. That's how universal this was. But Governor, I tell you in honesty, and I'm not going to be as careful as the congressman was with his words. As proud as I am of what this state did, is as ashamed as I am of what this country has done. Puerto Rico deserved better than this country has responded. Period. And Governor, I want you to know that what this federal administration has done does not represent the feelings of the American people. They're representing their own views and their own politics, but not the feelings of the American people. I was in the federal government during Hurricane Georges, when Puerto Rico also suffered. And I was the person who went down from the federal government. And I'm telling you, the difference in the federal response was night and day. And the American people supported the entire effort that this federal government brought to bear. At that time, I worked with Governor Rosselló I. Governor Rosselló's father was the governor at that time. And I saw the federal government organize and mobilize in a way that never happened here. That's what America is all about. By the way, Governor, when I say Governor Rosselló won, I mean it just in terms of time periods. We have Ruben Diaz 1, and then we have Diaz 2. We have Cuomo 1 and Cuomo 2, but that just signifies the time frames. The Serrano 1 and Serrano 2. And if it's any solace, Governor, to the people of Puerto Rico, the disrespect shown by this administration is not just towards the people of Puerto Rico. This administration has shown disrespect for any people who they believe are different. We have seen disrespect to Muslim Americans. We've seen disrespect to gay Americans. We've seen disrespect to female Americans. We've seen disrespect to working class Americans. We've seen disrespect from this administration to Haitians and Salvadorans and to Africans. We have seen continued disrespect for people who they believe are different, who don't fit their picture of America. But their picture of America is wrong. They don't see this room. They don't see the diversity. And they don't understand that the diversity is what made America, America, what makes New York, New York. That diversity is something to be celebrated. They don't see it, Governor. They don't see it. Unfortunately, I think Nancy Pelosi was right when she said they're trying to make America white again. They don't understand that diversity is our greatest asset, and it is. And New York shows that day in and day out. 18 million people, all from different places, different religions, different colors, different creeds, all together as one in the strongest state in the country, in the greatest economy on the world. That's what diversity does for you. But I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about what this administration's political views are, because they are irrelevant. We need Congress to do the fair thing, the right thing. We need Congress to fund the Puerto Rican recovery. Puerto Rico, this is not a luxury, it is a necessity. This is a fork in the road. I believe 10 years from now, we're going to look back at today, and what we do today will determine the future of Puerto Rico. That is how serious this is. And Puerto Rico has a smart plan to rebuild. They did a great job. We worked and provided whatever assistance that we could. They had great organizations working with them on the plan. They had Deloitte, they had Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation. They have a great plan to rebuild Puerto Rico, not to what it was, but to build a Puerto Rico better than ever before. But we need funding from Congress, and we need a better response from the federal government than we have been getting. Now, the one thing this federal government respects is power, and they made a mistake. They think that Puerto Rico doesn't have political power because they don't vote for president. Well, maybe they don't vote in the general election for president, but Puerto Rico has a lot of family and a lot of friends and a lot of allies who do vote. Puerto Rico has friends in Florida, in Connecticut, in Massachusetts, in Chicago, in California, in Wisconsin, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Puerto Rico has the entire state of New York in its corner. And Governor, it is time to flex our political muscle and to do everything we can do to get Puerto Rico the funds it needs to rebuild. And we are there with you. I am a born and raised New Yorker, and we're very simple at the end of the day. When we are with you, and your fight is our fight, and whatever you need, we are with Puerto Rico in this fight. We're going to walk the road of recovery every step of the way, side by side with Puerto Rico. These are American citizens. These are our brothers and sisters. We are going to rebuild a Puerto Rico that has never been before. And Governor, you can rely on us. You point us in the right direction, we're there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you join me in praising a great leader for Puerto Rico who has stepped up to the plate at a very, very difficult time, who is going to organize support all through this country, so the agenda that he needs for Puerto Rico gets through that Congress. My friend, my brother, Governor Rosselló.
Puerto Rico se levanta. Let's hear it, Bronx. Let's hear it. I want that guy's voice. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. That's right. I want to thank, first of all, the people of New York. You know, when I read that sign, New York stands with Puerto Rico, truer words have never been written, or have ever been spoken. Because right in the aftermath of the hurricane, the first plane that landed, the first aid that came, the first support to rebuild our energy system, the first help to get back our plan to build back Puerto Rico again, came from New York. So on behalf of the people of Puerto Rico, gracias, New York. Hicieron la diferencia y sí se puede. Of course, New York has a great leader, has a phenomenal friend. I want to tell you a little bit about the involvement that Governor Cuomo has had with Puerto Rico. Since I took oath from my office, the first phone call I got from a U.S. governor was from Governor Cuomo. At that moment, he told me that he wanted to reiterate that he was going to be there for the people of Puerto Rico. That many of his constituents are hoping that we can build a better, more prosperous Puerto Rico, and that himself and his team were going to be there to do it. Now, of course, throughout politics, you receive many phone calls, and you receive many promises. So at that moment, I just took it as a generous phone call from a friendly and great leader, but that's where I left it. When summer came by and Hurricane Irma was about to hit Puerto Rico, the first phone call I got was from Governor Cuomo, saying, we know the hurricane still has not hit Puerto Rico, but we want to let you know that we're here for you and that we're ready to help whenever you need it. Hurricane Irma hit Puerto Rico, but it glazed it through the north, and we were able to rebuild back within a span of 2 weeks and even help some of our fellow Americans and other citizens in the islands nearby. 2 weeks pass and Hurricane Maria forms. This time, a more imminent path of destruction was expected. Again, the first phone call I received, Governor Cuomo, saying that this time things looked a little bleaker, but that we had his commitment that New York was going to stand with Puerto Rico for whatever we needed. As you know, the hurricane was devastating. It was the biggest devastation in the modern history of the United States. Once the hurricane passed, the first plane that came to Puerto Rico had Governor Cuomo and a delegation that included councilmen, congressmen, congresswomen, and others that brought the first aid to Puerto Rico. With that, he already had won our people's heart. But he did not stop there. When he saw that we needed help to get our energy grid back up, he did not wait. He just sent folks to Puerto Rico to start rebuilding the energy grid. When he saw that we needed a strategy, not only to put back together what was then, before, but to rebuild it better than what it was, he gave us alternatives and put his team at our disposal so that we could rebuild stronger and better than before. So ladies and gentlemen, you know, words are words, but I value actions. I value commitment. I value leadership. I value true friendship. And Governor Cuomo, You are a true champion. You are a true friend of the people of Puerto Rico. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, for everything you're doing, for everything that you've done, and for everything that you will be doing for the people of Puerto Rico. But Cuomo has a great team. He's got the dean, they call him in Congress, the champion of Puerto Rico. In every conversation in Congress, doesn't matter what the topic is, doesn't matter. Jose Serrano is always there to make sure that Puerto Rico is included and that we're treated equally. Thank you, Congressman Serrano, for your great leadership, for your friendship, and for your commitment. And our president of the borough, Diaz Dos. What a great leader. What a great champion. What a great work he's done. And what a great response immediately after the hurricane, when I just saw with Marco and with Ruben, a small clip of the outpouring of support of the people of the borough helping Puerto Rico. Again, people that have very little, they gave it to help others that have more limitations. So I want to thank you, Mr. President, for your commitment, for your leadership. I want to thank the congressman. I want to thank our all-star, Carlos Beltran, and his wife for all the support that they've done for Puerto Rico. Thank you so much. This is getting exciting. And I want to thank my friends at Leuna. With steady dialogue, even in harsh times in Puerto Rico, we are trying to figure out a path forward to a sustainable living wage for working class in Puerto Rico. Now, this is a challenge, so we're going to need your help. But as we rebuild Puerto Rico, we want that everybody that puts one brick, layer by layer, piece by piece at a time, to be able to, after a hard day's work, go back home and know that they are receiving a decent living wage for their family. Powerlessness. Powerlessness. Think about that word for a second. Powerlessness. This is what Puerto Rico has faced for centuries. Powerlessness. When the time comes to have decisions that are important for our future, at the greatest stage, we don't have the power to make them. When the time comes for bigger policies that affect all Americans, we don't have a vote in Congress to make sure that the U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico have fair and equitable treatment. Powerlessness. This powerlessness is what has, in many occasions, driven many of you from your hometowns back in the island to the United States to look for a better quality of life, to look for more opportunities, to get all of the benefits of U.S. citizenship and not have to comfort with the second-class citizenship. This is what it's all about right now. U.S. citizens that live in Puerto Rico do not have the same rights as U.S. citizens that live in the United States. This has been there for many years, but only after the passage of Maria, when all of our U.S. brethren, and quite frankly, all of the world had its good look at Puerto Rico, were we able to see what this truly meant. Were we able to see what it means that when a hurricane comes to one of the jurisdictions in the United States, the energy grid is picked up in a matter of days, maybe a week. In Puerto Rico, it's been 4 months, and we still have 30% of our population without energy. Where else in the United States would that even be possible? Where else in the United States would that be tolerable? After the passage of Maria, another thing happened. Many at Congress came to Puerto Rico from both sides of the aisle, and we welcomed them, and we wanted them to come, and we wanted them to see firsthand what had happened in Puerto Rico. Many of them came, and many of them took pictures with broken down bridges, flooding areas, handing out food, and stood at a podium, just like this one, and said that they were here for the people of Puerto Rico and that they would pledge their support so that Puerto Rico could move forward. I felt like something was changing at that point. But then the reality of Congress came in. And the first bill where Congress could act in the benefit of Puerto Rico was the tax reform bill. Now, you may have your opinion about that tax bill, and certainly New York gets hit hardest by that tax bill. But let me tell you what it does to Puerto Rico. It treats Puerto Rico as a foreign country. And by treating Puerto Rico as a foreign country, it levies an additional 12% tax on many of our corporations. We saw that this was going on, and we went to all of those folks that came to Puerto Rico and said, this would be devastating for our economy at a time where we most need it, where we need help. And of course, after arguing, after getting support, the bill was passed, and the bill not only did not help Puerto Rico, but it put us in a worse position than what we were before. Right after that, something changed within me. Something was apparently clear. If we don't demonstrate that we have political power, we will never get fair treatment for the people of Puerto Rico. Because if in our greatest time of need, in the moment where everybody was on record saying they wanted to help Puerto Rico, the first at bat, they swung and missed, what is that going to mean further down the road? So here's my humble petition to all of you over here. It is time to draw a line in the sand. It is time to separate those that are friends of Puerto Rico from those that have turned their back on the people of Puerto Rico. It is time to demonstrate that there are consequences when you affect U.S. citizens just like everybody else and don't give them fair and equitable treatment. So here is my proposal to you. We have 5.6 million Puerto Ricans strong in the United States. By comparison, let me tell you that our Cuban American brethren are 2.7 million strong. They are very influential because they're very well organized. And we have to do the same. I call upon you and I challenge you to help us establish this national structure all over the states so that we can demonstrate that we have political power too. That just because we don't vote, we have many, as Governor Cuomo said, many friends, many family members over here that do care about what's going on in Puerto Rico. Let's make sure we get organized, and let's make sure we work with non-for-profits, with all organizations. Let's register Puerto Ricans. Whether you came here last week and want to be part of this effort, or whether you've been here for 4 decades and haven't voted once, this is the time where it matters. This is the time when we need to show that we're organized, we're poised for change, and that we want to make sure that the people of Puerto Rico get the best. I call upon you to make this change. Are you with me? Are you with me? So let's go out there, let's organize, let's make change, and let's build back Puerto Rico better than ever again. Thank you, and God bless America.
Let me hear it one more time for Governor Ricardo Rosselló. Do you stand with Puerto Rico? Do you stand with Puerto Rico? Then let's give it up for our governor, Andrew Cuomo. While other people talked, he acted, he organized us, and New York did its part. But ladies and gentlemen, the time to talk is over. The time to act is now. Do you stand with Puerto Rico? New York did its part because of the leadership of Governor Cuomo and so many of our colleagues. But let's remember, we're not asking for help. We're not asking for a handout. We're not asking for recognition. We're asking for what American citizens deserve, what the blood of our veterans have given, what families have sacrificed. We are American citizens. We deserve better, and we have to demand it. New York stands with Puerto Rico, but that means we have to stand with the leaders who stood up while others hid. We have to stand with those who stood up while others were afraid and had no vision. They have a vision. Let's stand with them. Let's support that. Let's mobilize. Let's organize. Let's register to vote. Let's demand accountability for the people of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico se lo merece. Puerto Rico se lo merece. Puerto Rico se lo merece. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. No hay cariño. Yo soy boricua. Yo soy boricua. And if you are a boricua, give me 1 second so we can close out. I know I'm not Carlos Beltran. I'm going to close it here too. Let's give Carlos Beltran a show round of applause. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, men and women of labor, all of you who have contributed so magnanimously to these efforts, we have not seen any stronger leadership on this issue and so many others than our beloved governor of the state of New York, Andrew Cuomo. He's our friend. Let's give it up for Andrew Cuomo. Let's give it up for Andrew Cuomo. We've never seen a mayor, we've never seen a governor, we've never seen a president of the United States defend Puerto Rico like Andrew Cuomo. And hold on, which brings me, and let me close this out. On September 30th, many of you were with us here in Southern Boulevard. People came from Brooklyn, people from all corners of the Bronx, from Long Island to Staten Island. And it was 10 days after the hurricane hit. And so many of us who had families in Puerto Rico, we were not able to contact our family members, and anxiety was building up. Despair was taking us over. And it was a way for not just people to just come and donate, but it was a way for there to be an outlet so that we could come together and cry and sing and dance and worry together and share our stories about our family members and our beloved Borinqueña. And it was a historic day, probably the most proudest day of my life, certainly as the Bronx Borough President. We collected over 300,000 pounds of equipment and supplies and food and clothing. And it wasn't just Puerto Ricanos. We had Latinos from every country that was represented there, Dominicans and Mexican and Ecuadorian and everyone, and people from Queens and people from Long Island and Staten Island. We had Muslims. We had Buddhists, everybody. We had Hispanic clergy members and people from the hip hop world. And so when Governor Rosselló speaks of this challenge, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing that we all need to do is try to mimic the spirit of what I saw that day. Which means that we have to set aside some of our differences. You know what I'm talking about, el bochinche. It doesn't matter whether you're rooting for the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees. Not when it comes to Puerto Rico. When it comes to Puerto Rico, it doesn't matter who you're cheering for in tomorrow's Super Bowl. When it comes to Puerto Rico, it shouldn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, if you're Latino, African American. Shouldn't matter your political persuasion. If you really, really are about the human spirit, about doing God's work, about helping Americans, it shouldn't matter what you believe the future status of Puerto Rico is. Our families, Titi Milagro, Titi Pilar, and my family, they're hurting. Your family members are hurting. And Rosselló said that in order for us to come together and do right by them, we have to get organized here. And we're going to need our friends who are not Puerto Ricans to do the same. I am up to the challenge. I saw what you can do on that September 30th day. If we continue with that energy, if we continue with that love, nothing can stop us. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, Andy Cuomo, and thank you, Governor Rosselló.